Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. Web exclusive. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we've been talking about it week after week after week, but we are finally here at the Hudson County Republican Committee Reorganization meeting located at the Boulevard, 3167 Kennedy Boulevard in the beautiful city of North Bergen, New Jersey. And joining me to my left is a familiar face here, our political analyst, Josh Sotomayor-Einstein. Josh, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, but physically I may be on your left, but politically I'm on your right.
That is correct, and I think the audience knows that loud and clear. So last night was the Hoboken Republican Committee meeting, and there were some illicit activities taking place there, some might say. I was wondering if you can tell the audience of what those activities are and what you're planning on doing going in the future.
So basically, for viewers out there, whether you're Republican or a Democrat or an independent or some other third party, you should want the party system to work as defined by law. Now, granted, these are private organizations, but statute and bylaws apply to them. Last evening, the person empowered by our useless Republican County Chair, Jose Arango, who has a long record of endorsing Democrats in partisan and nonpartisan elections, who spent money, GOP money, endorsing and sending out mailers for super far left-wing Jersey City school board candidates in the past, and who's crap-talked and attacked Republicans for actually doing their jobs and actually campaigning because they were going up against his Democratic friends and masters. Well, the person that he convinced to convert from Democrat to Republican, Joseph Bronco, he won the election. And he won the election because he had his people hijack the meeting in a very illegal fashion, stating that the bylaws we were using were the same bylaws as the Hudson County Republican Organization, of which we're in front of their reorganization right here this evening. And those bylaws explicitly prohibit anyone that has been a Republican for under 5 years for running for chairperson. They also prohibited people that aren't on the committee for running for chairperson. Jose Arango himself is not a member of the Hudson County Republican Committee, yet he can be chairperson there. But at the Hoboken Municipal Republican Committee meeting that was run by a pro tem by the name of Kimberly Glott, they prohibited anyone that wasn't a committeeman from running, yet they said that the bylaws were the same as the organization behind us, which has Arango as its chairperson. Now, obviously, you know, these people, many of them, whether it's Arango, whether it's Bronco, they're bullies. They just try to bully their way into anything. But what they don't understand is that myself, along with many other grassroots Republicans, not just in Hoboken, but across Hudson County, we're not going to stand for it. So, you know, you wanted to make this a battle, you've got a war.
All right. Now, Josh, like I mentioned in the open, we have been talking about this for over a month now, but you are running tonight to be the Hudson County Republican chairperson. We're about like 20, 25 minutes from the meeting. You know, how do you feel going in? Will you be the next Hudson County Republican chair?
So I feel really good about going into the meeting. Listen, the reality is that Arango has stacked the deck the same way that his puppets in Hoboken last evening bogarted, buffaloed, and just acted like a bull in a china shop in a very immature fashion last night. But the battle, you know, I've always said this from the beginning, that this is a war of attrition. The battle to make the Hudson County GOP Republican again, doesn't stop with me, doesn't stop here. I could be, God forbid, I could fall down and hit my head. There are people in the grassroots that would pick up the battle, and we're going to keep on continuing till we make the Hudson County Republican Party under Jose Arango either honest or get rid of Jose Arango, because he works for the Democrats. He sent mailers for them. He's endorsed them. And, you know, any system needs at least two parties. Like, in the ideal, I get it, people in TV land, you want more than two options. But first you have to have, you know, at least two parties. So that's what we're here fighting for. We're fighting for the grassroots Republicans, the 35 to 40,000 Republicans that don't even know that there's a county Republican organization out there, because the man at the helm, Jose Arango, who's been there for over 15 years, doesn't do anything other than work for Democrats. Wouldn't you say that's ridiculous?
I think it's completely ridiculous. And again, as a registered and proud Democrat, I mean, just switch parties. If you're going to work for the one party, just switch parties. But I guess power is
the reason that people like, whether it's Bronco or Jose Arango has been Jose Arango has been a Republican, and Bronco just switched, is because they want to feel powerful or important. So they have a title next to their name that they can sell out everything that title stands for. I mean, if we want to talk about, I don't want to belabor the point about Arango, anybody. So just going back to Bronco for a second, I mean, the man was at the fundraiser in the beer garden for Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala that Rachel Ho.
I believe he donated money to Mayor Bala as well.
I would not be surprised. And at this fundraiser, he can pretend that it's nonpartisan. He can pretend that Bala isn't super left wing. But the reality is at this very fundraiser, Rachel Hodes, the chairwoman of the Hoboken Democratic Committee, was the opening speaker. So, I mean, the writing's on the wall for everyone that can see, and even for many of those people that are seeing impaired, it's fairly transparent. Whether you're a grassroots Republican, whether you're super right wing, whether you're more towards the center, whether you're social conservative or libertarian, whichever way you go, we have to have a GOP that represents at least some of our values. And working for big government, cost of living increasing, critical race theory pushing, Democrats, that doesn't advance the Republican cause. I mean, Arango's going to pretend that he's had anything to do with the increase in registration in terms of Republicans, although that's natural, and some of that bump was from President Trump. But where are the grassroots efforts? I mean, his deployment that he did in support of Joe Bronco was the biggest deployment he's done for any political race ever.
And that was to go against a Republican like yourself.
Yeah, that was to go against me, an actual Republican. So, it's going to be an interesting time, and the battle always continues. The battle for the soul of the GOP to actually make it Republican again, that starts tonight.
All right. Well, we might have exclusive interviews with committee members. We might have some footage from inside the meeting, which is just a few minutes away here in North Bergen, New Jersey. And we might even have results for you afterwards. Don't go anywhere. We will stay tuned.
So you guys can record, just not on private property. You can go on the sidewalk. Okay.
How about over the yellow or no?
It cannot be on private
cannot be
property.
on-
It has to be on the
outside
other
of-
side of the fence.
I'm sorry, but is this a public meeting?
This is private property though. Yeah, but no one's telling you can't be. You just can't be in the lot. They don't want you in the lot. You can be on the sidewalk, just not in the lot.
All right. I just don't. You guys are doing your jobs, and I appreciate that. But we do have the freedom of press.
No, that's right, and that's why we're telling you can.
And they
just
did tell us
outside
that
the
we were
lot.
allowed in after 6 o'clock.
You could go in, but you can't record.
We can't record, but we're allowed in?
Just no cameras.
No cameras.
No cameras. Okay, but you have to get off the lot.
Get off the lot? Okay, no problem. Just give us time to pack up.
All right, we'll stand by too.
Absolutely, yeah. That's including him, too.
Everything. Is he?
Really quickly, we were asked to go off private property for a public meeting, even though this is our First Amendment rights. The North Bergen Police Department is just doing their jobs, and of course we respect our law enforcement. But Jose Arango, obviously scared of any type of challenges, and his cronies inside, has asked us to go on the sidewalk. So we are heading on the sidewalk now, and we'll try to come back with some more exclusives. If not, we'll come back with Josh somewhere, I promise. Stay tuned. Their phones inside.
Yeah, but they're not video.
All right, but so what did you find out?
Well,
that we
they
can go
don't
in?
want
They
you
don't
guys in the
want you
meeting.
guys-
It's a private meeting, so they don't want you guys in there.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Folks, as you could tell, Jeff Henning, our colleague from Hudson TV, really nice guy, HudsonTV.com, is also here. They also asked him to leave. We are now on the sidewalk. We are following protocols. Never in any type of county committee meeting did they require the press not to be there. It just shows that they might be hiding some things inside. Stay tuned for more information. We're here with a familiar face because he's only been a guest host on The Pulse for 5 times. Exactly. Pavel Sokolov, who is a Republican committee man in the city of Hoboken. Pavel, how are you?
Doing well, thank you, Peter. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate that. We've been sweating out here. The cops, they said that it was a private meeting, but we follow law enforcement. But it's a shame that the county chairman, Jose Arango, was scared of media. But different story for a different time, Pavel. You were in the meeting, and I was just wondering, it seemed like a very short meeting, 10 to 15 minutes. Was it a quick vote? Did it seem orchestrated in a way?
procedurally, what occurred is that after the nominations were announced, we each took a roll call vote per municipality and recorded our votes. Then those votes were tallied by each municipal chairman and then presented township by township to the board that were then certified that a roll call was taken.
Okay, so procedurally, from what we understand, the final vote tally was like 119 to 2 or something like that?
Correct.
So just out of curiosity, since Josh is our political analyst on the show, were those 2 votes from Hoboken?
No.
They were not. Okay. Is that all right? Do you care to tell what cities they were from?
I honestly don't recall. I believe Jersey City.
Okay. Both from Jersey City. Got it. All right, Pavel. So now, after the procedural vote was over, then they announced their nominations for the executive board, correct? And I don't know if you're going to recall all the names who were on there, but if you recall some of the names that are now on the executive board.
I can't truly recall. I believe procedurally, regardless of if an election is contested or not contested, in general, it always should behoove candidates to present themselves, their ideas, and their qualifications before a vote.
Before a vote. And obviously that did not happen tonight because Josh wasn't invited because they said he wasn't a committee person, even though Jose Arango is not a committee person as well.
Right. Procedurally, we should always ascertain what the bylaws state and always make sure that all processes are followed.
All right, Pavel. Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're going to have Josh on a little later to close out the show. Obviously he's not going to give up the fight. If you were in his shoes, do you think he would have? Or he should, excuse me.
Well, Josh is very passionate, and I believe that regardless, you should always stand by your convictions, whether or not others perceive them right or wrong.
Okay, great. Well, Pavel Sokolov, a familiar face on the Pulse. Congratulations again on your Republican committee race.
Thank you.
Win, that is. Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we'll see you on soon.
Always.
I love it, Pavel. Thank you so much. We'll be back with more. All right, the meeting is now over. Unfortunately, media was not allowed in, but there were other people that were not associated with the Hudson County Republican Committee that was. Again, it just goes to show you how Chairman Arango does things. Correct, Josh?
Oh yeah, I mean, look. The reality is that there was many committee members that showed up and weren't let in, and there's no real reason why it should have been a locked door meeting like that, unless Arango and his cronies have anything to hide. And the reality is they've been trying to hide, sweep under the rug, the fact that they work for the Democrats. That when it comes to the Hudson County Democratic machine, the Republican Party under Jose Arango is an addendum to that, is part and parcel of that problem. And fortunately, there are many real Republicans that are going to continue Republican activism, that are going to continue to make things uncomfortable for the Democrats and their cronies in Hudson County, and are going to continue to stand up for the people, whether it's in their fight against critical race theory, whether it's in their fight against all the cost of living increasing measures, or the high taxes, and all the war on common sense that happens from the Democrats in Hudson County. And that's going to make Jose Arango uncomfortable because he works for the Democrats. So the battle continues. We're going to make the Hudson County Republican Party actually Republican again. It's just going to take a little bit longer, so please stand by.
So, and Josh, of course, the oath saying you might have lost this battle, but not the war, rings true here, correct?
Oh, I mean, from the top to the bottom, there's so many things that Arango does that is just not just tush backwards, but also questionably legal. So whether you're a new Republican that actually wants to see the GOP stand up for the people, or you're a grassroots person that's been in the trenches at protests and rallies and bringing in speakers, with me or doing your own thing, the war continues, and maybe they won this battle, but I've not yet begun to fight.
There you go. Well, folks, we do thanks, Josh, for having us out here in scorching heat. Josh Sotomayor Einstein, our political analyst here. Folks, we will have a brand new episode for you this Sunday and Monday on your local cable access station, and, of course, on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms as well. We want to thank John Edmonds from Eyes on New Jersey. The microphone might be looking a little different tonight. Unfortunately, our Pulse crew had other commitments, so John Edmonds stepped in tonight and did an absolutely wonderful job. Visit his website, Eyes on NJ, by Googling it on eyesonnj.com, I believe it is. So, folks, thank you for joining us on this Pulse web exclusive. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Join us next time for the Pulse on everything you need to know.
The Pulse with Peter B. is a proud partner of Eyes on NJ.